we're going to try to bring them up so they can weld to code. And we also do that with United Alloys in Wisconsin, and we're setting up a program right now with Generac to bring their employees, say production line workers, guys that have been on time, work for them for a few years, a good employee that needs an upgrade, and we're upgrading them to welding, and they're getting raises and getting upward mobility in the process, and we're getting them into our school to get them trained.
This is what I love about welding, right? There are a lot of careers out there where you get trained, and then after you get trained, it's still like, okay, what's your experience? And that's what a lot of adult learners complain about, right? Oh, I got the education, but I don't have the experience, and I can't get the good job without the experience. And what I'm hearing from you is that probably the most demanding person in the world, Elon Musk, his company, SpaceX, one of the most demanding companies in the world, is saying, we don't care if you have 10 years experience. We just need you trained the right way. And we'll take people who are not welders, put them through a program, get them up to code, right? You can't just come off the street and do this, but get up to code, and we will give you that shot. So if they're training people in this field, it takes away that whole argument of you need experience to get a job, and without experience, you can't get a job. You just need the right education and the right skill set. That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. What's happened in the past 10 years, the unions used to always preach that, we want you to go through our apprenticeship program. We will take you in as apprentice. We'll train you. But the demand for welders is so great right now that they almost can't afford to do the apprenticeship programs. They need to hire fully qualified welders in the door. And what we do is when we certify our welders coming out of school, that certification just shows that they're qualified to meet code. And if they can weld the code, these pipe unions will give them a code test. They pass a code test, then they'll send them out in the field as a helper. And these kids are usually starting off at like $32 an hour. And, they're in a great job, great overtime, work as much as you want. And, but they have to prove to their employers that they can weld competently, because there are a lot of welding guys out there that slack off going to school, don't get as much out of the school as they should. And that's the problem. We graduate a bunch of guys that are fully qualified to weld, and we want them working in the unions. And we're perfectly honest when we deal with our employers about that. It's like, well, this guy might make a good production line worker, but he's not going to make a good pipe welder.
Is there a situation where if someone said, I don't want to go to school? So first of all, we already covered that if you take advantage of the Vermont work program, you can go to school completely for free. And at worst, it's a zero interest rate loan, which, dude, give me a zero interest rate loan, right? Like, that's the best situation. But are there situations where people will say, don't go to school, just go straight to the union and get trained on the job as the apprentice? And do you have a view towards the trade-off of not having formal education?
The apprenticeship has its place. I know a lot of guys that have gone through apprenticeship program and done well in the field. It just takes longer to get from point A to point B. My guys go to a 6-month school, graduate, apply to the union, they pass a weld test, they're put out in the field for, say, like I said, $32 an hour. Where if you're in an apprenticeship program, you really can't weld until you're at like year 3, and you're bound to go to school probably, 3-4 hours a night, 1 or 2 nights a week for 4 years in order to get to the journeyman level. So it takes a lot longer to get from A to B. And so if you can get your tuition and everything paid for to get to A and B, from A to B in 6 months, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
So is the reason some people do the apprenticeship is it the cost? Is it the bias towards I'm not going to pay to learn, like assuming these programs weren't available, the Vermont program, etc.? Is that, or is it just the common culture of go to the union, become an apprentice? Like, what do you think the biggest hesitancy is that people have where they won't look into the school?
I think it's knowledge. It's the knowledge that the students get and their parents get going from high school to the college level and finding out what's available and what's not available. I don't think most of the welding students that come in my front door really have a good handle on what accreditation is or what a for-profit versus a nonprofit school is. and what they can get from them.